There is a painkiller that breaks every rule of modern medicine. It penetrates skin in seconds. It reaches injured tissue faster than any pill. It costs pennies to produce, and it cannot be patented. For decades it was called the aspirin of the 21st century. Olympic athletes swore by it. Doctors in 125 countries prescribed it freely. Then the FDA banned it. Not because it failed, because it worked too well. A compound that heals without permission, that relieves without profit, and that spreads through word of mouth cannot be controlled. And what cannot be controlled cannot be monetized. This is the story of the industrial solvent that became medicine's best-kept secret. The painkiller that threatened a $50 billion industry, and the 60-year war to keep it out of your hands. Welcome to Medicine Lost Vault. Before we unlock this vault, if these stories matter to you, the best way to preserve this knowledge is simple. Subscribe, hit the bell, and share these vaults with those who deserve to know what medicine forgot. The archive opens in 1866, in a laboratory in Russia. A chemist named Alexander Zaytsev synthesizes a strange compound as a byproduct of wood pulp processing. It is clear, slightly oily, and has a faint garlic-like odor. He calls it dimethyl sulfoxide, DMSO. For nearly a century, no one cares. It sits in chemical catalogs as an industrial solvent. Factories use it to dissolve paint. Textile mills use it to process fabrics. It is cheap, stable, and utterly unremarkable. Then, in 1961, everything changes. Dr. Stanley Jacob is a young surgeon at the Oregon Health Sciences University. He is researching organ transplantation, specifically how to preserve kidneys for transport. He needs a compound that can protect cells from freezing damage. A British study mentions that DMSO works as an antifreeze for blood cells. Jacob contacts the Crown-Zellerbach Paper Company in Oregon. They have mountains of DMSO sitting as industrial waste. They give him barrels of it for free. What happens next rewrites everything Jacob knows about medicine. While handling the compound, Jacob accidentally spills some on his skin. Within minutes, he tastes garlic in his mouth. The DMSO has penetrated his skin, entered his bloodstream, and reached his lungs in seconds. No other compound on Earth does this. Jacob begins experimenting. He applies DMSO to his own sprained ankle. The pain vanishes. He tries it on a colleague with chronic bursitis. The swelling disappears overnight. Word spreads through the hospital. Doctors begin testing DMSO on patients with arthritis, muscle injuries, burns, and joint pain. The results are extraordinary. Pain relief within minutes. Inflammation reduced within hours. Healing accelerated by days. By 1963, the story reaches the New York Times. Oregon doctors report new drug approach, reads the headline. Crown-Zellerbach's stock price explodes from $4.50 to $60 per share in a single day. DMSO is being called the aspirin of the century. Within months, over 1,000 American doctors are testing DMSO on patients. Clinical trials launch across the country. Major pharmaceutical companies scramble to acquire rights. But there is a problem that will define DMSO's entire future. DMSO cannot be patented. It was discovered in 1866. It has been in public domain for a century. Any company can make it. Any chemist can synthesize it. It costs less than $1 per pound to produce. A drug without a patent is a drug without profit, and a drug without profit is a drug without a future. The trials continue anyway. Researchers at major universities document DMSO's remarkable properties. It is anti-inflammatory. It blocks pain signals. It increases blood flow to injured tissue. It protects cells from damage. It carries other medications through the skin, directly to target areas. It appears to have no serious side effects at therapeutic doses. More than 100,000 patients received DMSO treatments between 1963 and 1965. The medical literature fills with positive results. Then, in November 1965, everything stops. The FDA issues an emergency ban on all human testing of DMSO. The reason? A study in Ireland found that rabbits given extremely high doses of DMSO, far beyond any therapeutic level, developed changes in their eye lenses. The animals became slightly nearsighted. No human had ever reported this effect. No patient had complained of vision problems. But the FDA acted anyway. The timing was crucial. This was 1965. The thalidomide disaster was fresh in everyone's mind. Thousands of babies had been born with deformed limbs because a sleep aid had not been properly tested. The FDA was terrified of another scandal. So they sent telegrams to every doctor testing DMSO. They contacted U.S. embassies. They notified the World Health Organization. The message was simple. DMSO is dangerous. Stop immediately. Overnight, the miracle drug became the forbidden drug. But here is what the FDA did not tell the public. The rabbit study used doses hundreds of times higher than any human would ever receive. Later studies in primates showed no eye changes at therapeutic doses. Decades of subsequent research would confirm that DMSO, used properly, causes no permanent eye damage in humans. More than 10,000 scientific papers have been published on DMSO's chemistry. More than 3,000 papers document its medical applications. The safety profile is extraordinary. No cumulative toxicity, no organ damage at normal doses. Millions of patients treated safely in countries around the world. But in America, the ban held. Year after year, decade after decade. Meanwhile, something interesting was happening. DMSO was never banned as an industrial solvent. You could walk into any hardware store and buy it by the gallon. Horse trainers used it openly on injured animals. Veterinarians prescribed it for joint problems in dogs and cats. And quietly, without prescriptions, without doctors, without permission, Americans started using it on themselves. Word of mouth spread through athletic communities. Professional football players rubbed it on sore muscles. Olympic trainers packed it in their medical kits. Construction workers applied it to their aching joints. The FDA had banned the research, but they could not ban the knowledge. In 1978, after 12 years and intense pressure from patient advocacy groups, the FDA finally approved DMSO for one condition: interstitial cystitis, a painful bladder disorder affecting mostly women. One condition. After more than 100,000 patients had reported benefits for dozens of different ailments. One condition. The approval came with strict limitations. DMSO could only be administered by a doctor. It could only be used inside the bladder. It could not be prescribed for pain, inflammation, or any of the conditions where it had shown the most promise. Dr. Stanley Jacob, the man who started it all, was devastated. We have documented evidence that DMSO helps people with arthritis, with sports injuries, with chronic pain, he told reporters. But the FDA won't look at it. They made up their minds in 1965 and they haven't changed since. Jacob continued his research for another 40 years. He published over 100 papers on DMSO. He testified before Congress multiple times. He watched as country after country approved DMSO for conditions that America still refused to recognize. Germany approved it for arthritis. Russia uses it for stroke recovery. Over 125 countries allow doctors to prescribe DMSO for pain and inflammation. But not America. Never America. So why? Why does a compound with 60 years of research, thousands of positive studies, and millions of successfully treated patients remain effectively banned in the United States? The official explanation is safety concerns. But the safety data does not support this. DMSO has fewer serious side effects than ibuprofen. It is less toxic than acetaminophen. It has never been linked to the liver damage, kidney problems, or cardiovascular events associated with common over-the-counter painkillers. The real explanation is simpler and darker. In 1965, when the FDA banned DMSO, the American painkiller market was worth about $2 billion. Today, it exceeds $50 billion annually. NSAIDs alone generate over $15 billion per year. Prescription pain medications bring in tens of billions more. DMSO costs pennies per dose. It cannot be patented. It can be produced by anyone. If it were approved for pain relief, it would not merely compete with existing products. It would destroy entire product categories. No pharmaceutical company has any incentive to fund the large-scale clinical trials that the FDA demands. Why would they? To prove that a compound anyone can make for $1 works better than products that earn them billions. The system is designed to reward expensive, patentable molecules. And DMSO is neither. What does DMSO actually do? The science is well documented. DMSO penetrates cell membranes faster than any known compound. Within minutes of skin application, it enters the bloodstream. This property makes it useful both as a treatment and as a carrier for other medications. It reduces inflammation by scavenging free radicals, the destructive molecules that cause tissue damage. It blocks the transmission of pain signals along nerve fibers. It increases blood flow to injured areas, accelerating natural healing. Studies have shown benefits for arthritis pain, sports injuries, muscle sprains, burns, shingles, scleroderma, interstitial cystitis, diabetic ulcers, and post-surgical recovery. The side effects? A garlic-like taste in the mouth, sometimes skin irritation at the application site. In rare cases, headache or nausea at very high doses. Compare this to NSAIDs, which cause over 16,000 deaths per year in the United States from gastrointestinal bleeding alone. Compare this to acetaminophen, the leading cause of acute liver failure in America. DMSO has been used by millions of people for decades. There has never been a documented death from proper DMSO use. Today, DMSO exists in a strange twilight zone. You can buy it freely as a solvent. Websites sell it openly. Health food stores stock it alongside vitamins. Amazon lists dozens of DMSO products. But officially, legally, it is not medicine. Doctors cannot prescribe it for pain. Insurance does not cover it. Medical schools do not teach it. Most physicians have never heard of it. This is by design. A treatment that exists outside the medical system is a treatment that poses no threat to the medical system. As long as DMSO remains officially unapproved, the pharmaceutical industry faces no competition from it. Patients who use it do so at their own risk, without guidance, without support. Dr. Jacob, who died in 2015 at age 91, spent his final years training doctors in other countries to use DMSO properly. He called America's treatment of the compound the greatest tragedy in modern medical history. His research papers fill entire library shelves. His clinical evidence spans 6 decades. His work has been validated by scientists on every continent. None of it matters to the FDA. The pattern repeats throughout medical history. Treatments that cannot generate profit are treatments that cannot gain approval. The approval process costs hundreds of millions of dollars. Only companies with patent protection can justify that investment. Compounds in the public domain are orphaned by design. DMSO is not alone. It joins a list of promising treatments that threatened the wrong industries at the wrong time. Therapies that healed too cheaply. Cures that could not be controlled. We did not lose DMSO because it failed. We lost it because it succeeded without permission, without patents, without profit. But losing is not the same as forgetting. In laboratories around the world, research continues. New applications are being discovered. New delivery methods are being developed. The compound that a Russian chemist isolated from wood pulp in 1866 is still revealing its secrets. The knowledge survives. In research papers, in underground communities, in the millions of people who quietly apply it to their arthritic joints and aching muscles, without prescriptions, without doctors, without permission. DMSO cannot be erased. It can only be ignored. And ignoring something does not make it disappear. The question is not whether DMSO works. The question is, who decides what medicine you are allowed to use? 60 years ago, American doctors were freely testing a compound that relieved pain, reduced inflammation, and accelerated healing. Today, that same compound is officially forbidden as medicine, even as you can buy it at any hardware store. The system is not designed to find the best treatments. It is designed to find the most profitable treatments. And when those two things diverge, profit wins. Every time. If this vault opens something for you, subscribe to Medicine Lost Vault and hit the bell. Every like and every share preserves what they tried to suppress. The next vault opens soon.